Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Martial Universe Season 10 Part 45 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Dazzling purplish gold light suddenly erupted from within Lin Dong's body like 1,000 multicolored rays from the rising sun, while 300 purplish gold dragon tattoos roared at the heavens. The dragon pressure contained within the dragon roar was pure and ancient. Liu Qing's aura was even stronger as he stood on opposite Lin Dong. Green light pervaded the area while 800 green dragon light tattoos swirled around his body. As the dragon tattoos moved, a terrifying strength directly beat on space itself until it showed signs of distortion. Everyone around the Lin Dong duo had already backed away. Both of them clearly practiced the same profound martial art. From the looks of it, they seemed to be competing with each other in terms of this martial art. However, there was indeed quite a big gap in the Yuan power cultivation of the two. It was obvious that Liu Qing held the absolute upper hand. Although the green dragon light tattoos raged, the 300 purplish gold dragon tattoos firmly entrenched themselves around Lin Dong. They might lose in terms of numbers, but everyone could feel that a single purplish gold dragon tattoo was stronger than a single green dragon light tattoo. A bright light was revealed in Liu Qing's eyes as he looked at the rock-like Lin Dong under the pressure of his aura and grinned. After which, his body sunk slightly as he threw a punch forward. This punch did not have any finesse. However, the 800 green dragon light tattoos around him roared at the sky when the punch was thrown. After which, they turned into an incomparably wild and violent green light beam that rushed towards Lin Dong. Bang! The green light beam was akin to a giant dragon as it shot forth. A huge gully was formed as the mountain below collapsed, causing the entire mountain to be split into two at this moment. This punch from Liu Qing was clearly rather overbearing. Lin Dong watched as the wild and violent green light beam rapidly magnified in his eyes. A solemnness flashed across his eyes, but he did not show any signs of dodging. This Liu Qing was clearly attempting to probe his understanding of the green heaven materialized dragon skill. He would be mocked by Liu Qing if he chose to shrink back. Roar? These thoughts flashed within Lin Dong's mind as he lunged forward while purplish gold light swept out. 300 purplish gold dragon tattoos rushed forward and his punch directly clashed with the arriving green light beam. Green and purplish gold light arcs spread from the point of contact. The already swaying mountain below was completely shattered by the aftershocks. Boulders flew as the mountain collapsed. Swoosh! Lin Dong's figure catapulted backwards due to the resultant force. However, his toes stepped on the air as vast and mighty silver-white mental energy spread and stabilized his body. It also completely blocked the force that was charging towards him. Formidable indeed. Lin Dong was secretly taken aback. Liu Qing was indeed much stronger than the Heaven Dragon Demon Commander, Liu Dao, and other ordinary Samsara stage individuals. If it was not because Lin Dong's mental energy had advanced into the initial symbol Grandmaster level, it was likely that he would be no match for Liu Qing. After stabilizing his body, Lin Dong lifted his head and looked at Liu Qing, who had not budged at all. He could not help but cup his hands together as he laughed. Big brother Liu Qing's green heaven materialization dragon skill is indeed powerful. A feat worthy of the primal dragon bone. 300 dragon tattoos can actually contend against my 800 dragon tattoos. If you were at the same cultivation level as myself, it will be extremely difficult for me to beat you. Liu Qing stared at Lin Dong. The pride on his face had diminished slightly. Soon after, he continued, Lord Qingji really has good eyes. Big brother Liu Qing is far too humble. If it is not because I possess the primal dragon bone, it would be difficult to unleash the power of the green heaven materialization dragon skill to such an extent. Lin Dong laughed. Being able to obtain the primal dragon bone is an ability itself. Back then, even I had failed after a terrible fight with that person. All I could do was choose the inferior ancient dragon bone, Liu Qing chuckled and said. Lin Dong involuntarily smiled. The person Liu Qing spoke of should be the six-finger sage dragon emperor. Ha ha, please do not be angry, young brother Lin Dong. This is Liu Qing's character. He will fight anyone before talking regardless of whether he knows them. All the elders in the tribe, including the tribe leader, have been challenged by him. Duan Dao smilingly stepped forward and said. Lin Dong was amazed. He inwardly commented that this was indeed a battle maniac. You are here for the Devouring Master's inheritance, right? Lin Dong quickly smiled and asked. Hehe, I have heard tribe leader mention that you are the current owner of the Devouring Ancestral Symbol. However, I am also interested in this Devouring Master's inheritance. When the time comes, whoever obtains it will depend on one's ability. Liu Qing walked over while smiling as he looked at Lin Dong. He did not beat around the bush with words, nor did he hide his desire towards the Devouring Master's inheritance. In that case, we will compete fairly. Lin Dong grinned said. There were far too many competitors now. One more Liu Qing really did not matter. This open declaration by the latter was far more reassuring than some who would stab him in the back. Ha ha, good. Liu Qing heartily laughed. Soon after, he said, but you can be reassured that if I truly do not have any chance to obtain it, I will still lend you a hand. After all, you are our dragon tribe's punishment elder. You are one of us. Lin Dong smiled. His impression of Liu Qing became a lot better at this moment. 3 of the 4 overlord tribes have already arrived. However, the Kuan tribe has yet to appear. Beside Lin Dong, little Martin's eyes swept across the place as he remarked. Ha ha, they will definitely come. No one in this world can match the speed of the Kuan tribe. They will be able to arrive anytime they wish to. First Elder Zhu Li laughed. The expression of First Elder Zhu Li changed when his words sounded as he grinned and said, Speak of the devil. These people really like to come and go like ghosts. Ha ha, First Elder Zhu Li thinks far too highly of our Kuan tribe. In terms of speed, your Celestial Demon Martin tribe is also extremely outstanding. Laughter was suddenly transmitted from the sky. Lin Dong lifted his head. Soon after, his pupils shrunk as he watched a certain spot in the sky rapidly distort. Space squeezed together as a couple of figures strangely surfaced from the squirming distorted space. Only 5 people had emerged from the distorted space. The leader was a silver-haired elder. He had a small build, but the frightening ripple that emanated from within his body was not weaker than Shu Li or Mu Di. It is actually First Elder Kuan Yuan. First Elder Zhu Li looked at the group and chuckled. From the looks of it, he was clearly acquainted with them. Are these members of the Kuan tribe? Lin Dong also observed the 5 with some curiosity. The group consisted of 4 elders and a woman. Therefore, his eyes quickly stopped on the only woman. She was wearing red clothes, had a beautiful face and was of a tall slender build. At a glance, she was clearly a great beauty. However, her lovely face was cold as ice. Bright silver hair fell from her head, increasing the frostiness of her already cold and pretty face. Moreover, Lin Dong was most stunned to discover that the Yuan power within the body of this woman was rather weak. Based on his guess, she had at the very most reached the initial profound death stage. She actually dared to come to this place with only such strength. She must be really bold. Eh? That's not right. Lin Dong frowned slightly. Soon after, a thought passed through his mind. This woman's Yuan power might be weak, but there seemed to be another extremely overwhelming power. Moreover, this power was very familiar. While Lin Dong was observing this red-clothed silver-haired lady, the latter also seemed to have noticed him, and her eyes shifted towards him. She did not say anything unnecessary. Instead, a silver-white light flashed in her eyes and a unique ripple directly shot towards Lin Dong. Mental energy? Lin Dong's eyes hardened when this ripple appeared. With a flick of his finger, equally sharp silver-white mental energy whizzed out and directly shattered the ripple from the lady. No loud sound appeared when the 2 powerful mental energies clashed. Only the bodies of the 2 of them trembled slightly. This lady is actually also a powerful expert whose mental energy has reached the initial symbol Grandmaster level. Surprise surfaced within Lin Dong's eyes. He did not expect that this icy beauty would be the first initial symbol Grandmaster he encountered. Of course, he was not the only one whose eyes revealed some shock. Astonishment also flitted across the icy face of the red-clothed silver-haired lady. Soon after, her eyes looked deeply at Lin Dong. Evidently, she had also sensed that Lin Dong's mental energy was not inferior to her own. Ha ha, looks like this little friend walks the same path as that lass, Kun Ling. The clash of mental energy might be faint, but it should also be known just what kind of people were present. Naturally, the secret exchange between the two did not escape their perception. Immediately, First Elder Kuan laughed and looked at Lin Dong in a meaningful manner. Girl, you have finally met a rival. You boast that you are the person with the greatest talent within your Kuan tribe in the last 1,000 years, but this young friend here is not weaker than yourself. Lin Dong's scalp turned numb at these words. This old fellow really had ill intentions. If put in such a way, it would only invite hatred towards Lin Dong. Lin Dong glanced at the red-clothed lady when he thought of this. As expected, a burning aura had rose within the latter's ice-cold eyes. Friend, we can spar with mental energy if you have the time. The lady called Kun Ling might appear ice-cold, but it seemed that she greatly minded that Lin Dong was able to match her in terms of mental energy at such a young age. Hence, she quickly opened her mouth and spoke. Her voice might be gentle and pleasant to the ears, but it caused Lin Dong to bitterly laugh in his heart. We will talk about it when there is time. Lin Dong helplessly shook his head as he half-heartedly responded. He was currently busy with obtaining the inheritance of the Devouring Master. How could he have time to play with her? By the side, First Elder Zhu Li grinned when he saw this. After which, he changed the topic. His eyes looked towards the celestial gale-infested depths of the barren plains and said, the wind will weaken tomorrow. At that time, we should start heading into the depths of the barren plains and find that shattered space. What do you say? Agreed. The surrounding crowd thought for a moment before nodding at his words. Lin Dong stood by the side and gazed upon the powerful individuals that had gathered here as his lips subconsciously pursed. It was likely that almost half of the experts from the demon region had congregated here. The 4 overlord tribes, 8 king tribes and other renowned great factions within the demon region had dispatched their top experts to this place. Looks like there will be an extremely intense competition for the Devouring Master's inheritance. Lin Dong's hands tightly clenched at this point. He suddenly frowned a moment later as his eyes turned towards a certain empty space. He seemed to have felt that they were being observed a split second earlier. This feeling had disappeared in an instant, and even Lin Dong could not tell if he was mistaken. Thus, he could only shake his head. He did not know why, but there was a slight unease deep within his heart. The strong gales in the northernmost part of the demon region were extremely cold and sharp. During certain periods of time, the gales would form tempests. Moreover, the might of these tempests would even cause the expression of a samsara stage expert to change. Therefore, although there was an increasing number of powerful individuals heading towards this desolate plains, there were few people who dared to barge in. That was especially after they heard the sharp and miserable screeches from some reckless individuals, who attempted to enter because they were unable to suppress the greed in their hearts. Hence, many of them decided to suppress their greed and turn cautious, as they obediently waited for the gales to weaken. Lin Dong's large group did not recklessly barge in as well. Moreover, as the group from the Dragon tribe and the Celestial Demon Martin tribe were all following him, it caused his group to seem the grandest. However, Lin Dong did not dare to become complacent because of this. This was because now that he had advanced to initial symbol Grandmaster, his powerful mental energy allowed him to vaguely detect certain frightening existences within this sea of auras. Trying to stand out now was clearly a foolish move. All the powerful individuals on the desolate plains were suppressing their greed as they waited quietly. This wait finally came to an end at around noon on the next day. This was because everyone could feel that the sharp gales, which permeated the desolate plains, were finally showing signs of weakening. Buzz buzz. Various buzzing sounds surged over from all directions like floodwaters. This desolate plains, which initially looked fairly orderly, once again broke out in chaos. Meanwhile, the eyes of countless powerful experts were filled with excitement. As the gales weakened, their greed, which was firmly suppressed by them previously, had once again sprouted forth like weeds. It's about to become chaotic. When he saw this scene, Lin Dong lowered his eyes and said in a faint voice, "These people are still underestimating the celestial gales in the northernmost region. I wonder just how many people will end up dying here." First Elder Zhu Li shook his head and said, "In the past, I came to this place and encountered the celestial tempest. At that time, even though I was already at the samsara stage, I was still severely injured. After I managed to escape, I had to spend a couple of years recuperating in order to expel the wind that had invaded my body." When Lin Dong heard this, even though he was already well prepared, the solemn expression in his eyes became graver. After all, he was not familiar with this place. Moreover, although he knew that the winds in this place were very powerful, he did not expect them to be this terrifying. Moreover, there were many demonic beasts who originated from the ancient times in this deserted northernmost region. Though these demonic beasts were not very intelligent, they had unique constitutions and were extremely difficult to deal with. It's about time to enter the desolate plains. Let's prepare ourselves. We should take advantage of the crowd as it will help to disperse the might of the celestial gales. They can also help us to deal with the demonic beasts within. Liu Qing looked into the distance and laughed. Although he was someone who loved to fight, he did not like to waste his energy unnecessarily. Moreover, he clearly knew how powerful the celestial gales were. Hence, he knew that it would be extremely troublesome if he was caught by them. Lin Dong's eyes also looked afar. At that spot, he saw that countless Yuan power had erupted. After which, many light figures shot forth in a locust-like manner, before they charged into the desolate plains, which was filled with strong gales. Currently, there were still some miserable cries being vaguely emitted. However, they were extremely faint and nigh inaudible due to the many roars behind. The Nine Phoenix tribe is about to make a move. Standing beside him, little Martin suddenly said. Following which, Lin Dong glanced with the corner of his eyes and saw that a light cluster had suddenly appeared on the hands of First Elder Mu Di from the Nine Phoenix tribe. After that light cluster disappeared, it actually transformed into a black-colored fan. That fan was covered with ancient symbols. Moreover, each time he flapped that fan, a mysterious force would be emitted and it would cause the surrounding space to be slightly distorted. Heaven Feather's devil-suppressing fan. Lin Dong was slightly startled when he saw this. That item was ranked 14th on the ancient divine object ranking and it had killed many Yimo during the ancient era. Unexpectedly, such a divine object had actually landed in the hands of the Nine Phoenix tribe. The Nine Phoenix tribe loves to collect ancient divine objects. Hence, they have many treasures in their tribe. First Elder Zhu Li involuntarily exclaimed after he saw the black fan in Mu Di's hands. The truly powerful objects on the ancient divine object ranking are those ranked in the top 10. Only those items are personally created by the symbol ancestor. The others might be powerful, but they are still lacking compared to those top 10 items. Lin Dong curled his lips and said, "I?" The top 10 items on the ancient divine object ranking are indeed the ultimate ancient divine objects. However, based on what I am aware of, the symbol ancestor only created 9 of them. First Elder Zhu Li mused before speaking. "Oh?" Lin Dong blinked. Then, he quickly asked in a curious voice, "The top-ranked ultimate ancient divine object is not created by the symbol ancestor? In that case, what exactly is it?" "This? I do not know." First Elder Zhu Li laughed bitterly. This was something that he learned from the ancient texts in his tribe. The top-ranked ultimate ancient divine object was extremely mysterious and unfathomable. Notwithstanding him, it is likely that most of the powerful experts in the ancient times did not know much about it as well. The curiosity in Lin Dong's heart grew. However, this was not the time to be discussing about this. Mu Di glanced at him and chuckled after he took out his Heaven Feathers devil-suppressing fan. Then, the latter jerked his wrist before the black fan emitted a black light barrier. Black swirls were present on that barrier and the fluctuations of those swirls were fairly similar to that of the celestial gales in the desolate plains. "Let's go." Mu Di released a low cry. The black light barrier took his men before they directly entered the desolate plains, which was filled with powerful gales. "Ha ha, Zhu Li, we will also be making a move first." The first elder from the Kuan tribe, Kuan, also laughed out loud from a short distance away. Then, he cupped his hands towards First Elder Zhu Li. Soon after, the space in front of him became distorted before the five of them took a step forward and disappeared mysteriously. The Kuan tribe is born with the ability to tear space apart. How fortunate! First Elder Zhu Li smiled and shook his head. Then, he said, let's get going as well. After he spoke, he was prepared to rush forth directly. However, he was quickly stopped by Lin Dong. The latter smiled before he clenched his hand. Then, a miniature ancient palace appeared in a flash. First Elder, there is no need to rush. The 9 Phoenix tribe has their own treasure and so do I. We can hide inside my mysterious divine palace. Regardless of how fearsome the celestial gales are, they cannot hurt us. Moreover, this will allow us to avoid exhausting our Yuan power. Lin Dong smilingly said. The mysterious divine palace ranked 10th on the ancient divine object ranking? First Elder Zhu Li had exceptional eyesight and he was able to recognize it at first glance. Immediately, a tinge of shock flashed across his elderly face. Indeed. Lin Dong laughed. He waved his hand before the mysterious divine palace expanded with the wind and grew to a couple of 100 feet in size. Lin Dong was the first to rush in. After which, Little Martin, Little Flame and the rest followed. Ha ha, this is much more convenient. We'll naturally have to use it. Liu Qing also laughed out loud. Together with Du and Dao and the rest, they entered as well. First Elder Zhu Li also smiled before he followed behind. After all of them entered, bright lights erupted from above the mysterious divine palace. After which, a rumbling sound appeared before it charged into the desolate plains in front of countless pairs of envious eyes. After Lin Dong's group left, the remaining experts also began to unleash various techniques. Dazzling light covered the entire place, giving it a colorful appearance. Meanwhile, the originally quiet desolate plains also became extremely lively. While various experts were charging into the desolate plains, the space on a mountaintop outside of the desolate plains suddenly became distorted. Soon after, traces of dark and dense black chi came seeping forth before they directly transformed into a black blurry figure. When that black figure saw the spectacular scene on the distant desolate plains, a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his lips, which was covered below the black fog. Ghost Abyss King. An indifferent voice was emitted from within the black fog. Immediately, the space behind him quickly became distorted. Soon after, another black figure appeared. This black figure bowed gently after he showed up and his demeanor was exceptionally courteous. The information has spread rather quickly this time around. With such a large event taking place in the demon region, how can our devil prison not be involved? The black fog human figure said with a faint smile. 10th Seat King, what should we do? It seems like reincarnation stage experts are unable to enter the Devouring Master's realm. The black figure called Ghost Abyss King softly asked. Ha ha, my hands might be tied if the Devouring Master is alive. Unfortunately, he is already dead. Therefore, what can he possibly do? The black fog figure smiled faintly. His emotionless eyes stared at the distant lively scene before he laughed softly. Currently, there are many top experts from the demon region gathered over there. I wonder how much weaker the demon region will be if we kill all of them. Hee, 10th Seat King's techniques are superb. These people are all the elites and pillars of the various factions in the demon region. If all of them vanished, it will likely hurt those factions tremendously. The Ghost Abyss King laughed in a cruel manner. Moreover, if we enter that shattered space, even those reincarnation stage experts in the demon region will not be able to detect anything. This is a really good opportunity for us to act. The black fog figure nodded. Then, he asked, we should have sufficient men for this trip. The Ghost Abyss King laughed quietly. He waved his sleeve before the surrounding space rippled. Then, another 3 black figures appeared. Moreover, the ripples around those 3 were not the least bit weaker than his. Heaven Illusion King, Earth Illusion King, Darkness Abyss King, greets the 10th Seat King. Those 3 figures bowed towards the black fog figure the moment they appeared. The three of them were all Yimo kings. In other words, there were a total of 4 genuine reincarnation stage experts. I think that this should be enough. The black fog figure finally smiled faintly upon seeing this. Then, he waved his sleeve before they disappeared in a peculiar fashion. Ha ha, my devil prison has laid low for so many years. It's time to do something grand. An endlessly cold muttering voice gradually spread across the place after they disappeared. The desolate plains was dimly lit. Sharp celestial gales were just like blades as they ravaged the ground in all directions. Every gale in this place appeared to be like a sharp divine object. In fact, it was so sharp that it could cut through one's Yuan power defense. Hence, if one was struck by it, even a perfect profound death stage expert would wound up with serious injuries. Presently, countless light figures were fearlessly charging into the desolate plains, which was permeated by strong gales. After which, they unleashed their own techniques in an attempt to reach the deepest part of the desolate plains. However, some sharp and miserable screeches were occasionally emitted after the Yuan power defense protecting some of the experts were directly sliced apart by the powerful gales. Soon after, their sturdy physical bodies were shattered instantly. After each physical body was shattered, a light ray would attempt to escape in a miserable fashion. However, just as the light ray was about to escape, it would be caught by the gales. Following which, a miserable cry of despair would sound, indicating that a powerful individual had truly lost his life at this spot. Therefore, given how dangerous this place is, it's no wonder that no one typically dared to come. Although the gales were powerful, there was no shortage of capable individuals here. Many of them moved quickly as they cautiously dodged those extremely sharp gales. Only when they had no other choice would they use their skills to fight the gales head-on. Even though they still suffered, they were in a much better state compared to those unlucky fellows. Amidst the glowing figures, a ray of light was charging forward with a powerful momentum. If one was to carefully look at that ray of light, one would realize it was actually a miniature palace. Light gathered around that palace and that light seemed quite powerful. When those sharp gales tried to slice it, they were only able to create ripples on its surface. Its powerful defense caused many individuals, who were bitterly duking it out, to feel envious. That palace was naturally the mysterious divine palace belonging to Lin Dong. At this moment, his group was riding within it. Their journey was evidently several times more comfortable compared to the ones taken by those individuals outside. The mysterious divine palace is indeed powerful. It is rumored that it sealed many Yimo kings in the past. Unexpectedly, it has landed in your hands. First Elder Zhu Li smilingly looked at this ancient palace. He could detect some ancient symbols on the surrounding walls. Meanwhile, those symbols contained a powerful force. This palace once killed Yimo kings, who were equivalent to reincarnation stage experts. I got lucky. My strength is lacking and I cannot completely unleash the strength of the mysterious divine palace. Killing a Yimo king is not something that I can do as of now. Lin Dong smiled. Even someone as powerful as Qing Ji had to use the king-destroying heavenly plate in order to successfully kill a Yimo king. Furthermore, there was still a huge gap between him and Qing Ji. There is no rush. Once you obtain the Devouring Master's inheritance, you should be able to breach that gap. At that time, even if you encounter a Yimo king, you should be able to put up a good fight. First Elder Zhu Li laughed. It is not going to be so easy to obtain the inheritance of the Devouring Master. Lin Dong laughed bitterly. He waved his sleeve before the space in front of him rippled and displayed what was going on in the outside world. The desolate plains is exceptionally vast and it is constantly covered by celestial gales. It is difficult to determine one's location in this place. Fortunately, we can detect the shattered space and we will likely reach our destination soon. You are still underestimating this northernmost region. First Elder Zhu Li shook his head. Staring at the outside world through the spatial ripples, he said, the closer one gets to the deepest part of the desolate plains, the stronger the gales become. Hence, it would be very troublesome if we encounter a celestial tempest. Additionally, we have to be wary of the demonic beasts here. They are not to be trifled with. Lin Dong nodded. He had always been an extremely cautious person. Therefore, there was no way he would let his guard down in a place like this. His mind quickly sunk into the mysterious divine palace before he took control of it. Then, he swiftly dodged the many incoming gales as he directly headed towards the deepest part of the desolate plains. Along the way, Lin Dong met many powerful practitioners. These practitioners were all using various techniques in order to dodge the sharp gales. This caused Lin Dong to quietly sigh in amazement. The demon region was truly filled with many hidden and powerful talents. Although Lin Dong intentionally spoke in a humble manner when he spoke to First Elder Zhu Li previously, his mental energy had already reached the symbol Grandmaster level. Therefore, it was extremely easy for him to control the mysterious divine palace. As such, the increasingly powerful gales along the way did not pose any obstruction to him. This continued until 4 hours later. Trouble up ahead. Within the mysterious divine palace, Lin Dong suddenly opened his gently shut eyes, before a grave expression flashed across his face. The image reflected by the spatial ripples in front of him showed that there was a dark green swirling tempest which connected the sky and ground, a short distance away from them. Meanwhile, it was rotating at a frightening speed, and the sharpness of the gales within caused Lin Dong to feel a chill on his skin. Celestial tempest. How troublesome. First Elder Zhu Li looked at this scene before he helplessly shook his head. They eventually ran into one. Everyone, I am going to use all my strength to control the mysterious divine palace. All of you should be careful. Lin Dong warned them with a grave expression. Then, he sat down before he extended his mind. Immediately, he took control of the mysterious divine palace. When he did so, the many ancient symbols within the palace also began to flicker, before powerful ripples were emitted from them. Swoosh swoosh. The dark green tempest in the outside world was just like an endlessly long python, as it raged continuously. Currently, many powerful individuals were already caught in it. Even though they were quite powerful, once they were caught in that tempest, it didn't matter how formidable their Yuan power was. After numerous powerful gales charged towards them, their demonic spirits were shattered instantly even before they could attempt to escape. Ah! Ah! Sharp and miserable cries continued to sound in waves. Meanwhile, similar scenarios were also occurring in the distant. Clearly, a majority of the experts here had also encountered a similar obstacle. The celestial tempest came extremely quickly. Soon after, the area of effect finally reached the mysterious divine palace. Immediately, the light barrier over its surface began to ripple continuously while its body began to sway. Humph! A cold snort was emitted from within the palace. Soon after, one could see 10,000 rays of light erupting from within the mysterious divine palace. Upon closer inspection, one would realize that they were actually divine objects. These divine objects circled the mysterious divine palace. As golden light glimmered, they looked just like an iron-clad wall. Let's go! Another cold cry was emitted. Following which, one could see the mysterious divine palace charging forward under the protection of many divine objects. After which, it directly charged into the tempest. Bang bang bang. Exceptionally sharp gales smashed against the metallic wall from all directions. After which, one could see the bright glow on the many divine objects turning dim at a frightening speed. This caused Lin Dong to be greatly startled. The celestial tempest was indeed frightening. It's no wonder no one dared to come to this place. Occasionally, some divine objects on the divine object wall would break. This caused Lin Dong's heart to ache. Although there were countless divine objects in the mysterious divine palace, they could still be used to equip his subordinates. Therefore, it was truly a waste for them to be destroyed in this fashion. Although Lin Dong felt a heartache, he was unable to do anything about it at this moment. The mysterious divine palace was able to progress at a steady pace thanks to the protection from the divine objects. Once they left the tempest, they should be able to quickly reach the deepest part of the desolate plains. Lin Dong, be careful. However, while Lin Dong was prepared to continue on at this speed, First Elder Zhu Li's and Liu Qing's voice sounded simultaneously. The land beneath them suddenly split apart after their voices sounded. after which it was possible to see over a dozen 10,000 feet large dark green horns shooting out from beneath the ground, before they flew towards the mysterious divine palace. This sudden development caught Lin Dong by surprise. His eyes drifted downwards before he saw 100,000 feet large beast climbing out from beneath the ground. Meanwhile, it had countless large horns, while strong gales filled those horns. It is the 10,000 horn beast. When First Elder Zhu Li saw that huge beast, he frowned before he said, 10,000 horn beast. Little Flame frowned and asked, a mutated demonic beast. They are not very intelligent, but they have an extremely long lifespan. Judging by its size, it should have lived for at least 1,000 years. First Elder, Big Brother Liu Qing, I will have to leave that creature to the both of you. I need to steer the mysterious divine palace and charge out of the tempest. Otherwise, if we allow ourselves to be delayed by that beast, we will eventually be exhausted to death by the tempest. Lin Dong said in a deep voice. Leave it to us. Zhu Li and Liu Qing smiled. There were numerous powerful individuals here. In fact, 10 of them were at the samsara stage. Therefore, although it was difficult to deal with the 10,000 horn beast, it was not sufficient to stop them. Lin Dong nodded. A thought passed through his mind before the speed of his mysterious divine palace once again increased. At this moment, he no longer cared about the damage suffered by the divine objects, as he completely unleashed its defense and allowed the gales to shatter the various divine objects. Hiss! The 10,000 horn beast below roared towards the sky. Meanwhile, its numerous horns were covered with blood. Clearly, it had already killed many powerful individuals. Its huge eyes stared at the mysterious divine palace, which was located in the tempest, before 10,000 horns accompanied by sharp gales whistled forward and ruthlessly swept towards the mysterious divine palace. Humph, bastard, you should stop your nonsense. However, a cold snort was suddenly emitted just as 10,000 horns surrounded the mysterious divine palace. Following which, vast and mighty Yuan power pillars whizzed out. These Yuan power pillars contained the scent of reincarnation. Sizzle sizzle. These 2 Yuan power pillars, which contained the scent of reincarnation, whistled forth. Immediately, the 1,000 feet large horns that came into contact with them were directly ripped apart, before blood spurted forth. It was just like a bloody rain. Roar! The 10,000 horn beast released a miserable screech after it was struck by those powerful attacks. Meanwhile, its attacks became increasingly wild and fearsome. However, those 2 Yuan power pillars guarded the mysterious divine palace and made it an impregnable fortress. Therefore, regardless of how fearsome the attacks from the 10,000 horn beast were, they were still unable to breach the mysterious divine palace. Does this damned beast know how to stop? Within the mysterious divine palace, Zhu Li and Liu Qing frowned. As they were located in the tempest, half of the Yuan power that they unleashed were used to tear through the tempest. Therefore, only the remaining half were used to deal with the 10,000 horn beast. As such, they had to expend twice the effort in order to achieve the same result. As such, this was taking quite a toll on their Yuan power. Young brother Lin Dong, how long more before we leave the tempest? Duan Dao hurriedly asked upon seeing this. 10 minutes. Lin Dong replied without turning his head. The Zhu Li duo nodded. Both of them shut their eyes and maneuvered their Yuan power to block the crazy attacks raining down from the 10,000 horn beast. The remaining individuals within the mysterious divine palace sat quietly. However, all of them were frowning. They were well aware of just how powerful the celestial tempest was. If they lost the protection of the mysterious divine palace, they would definitely be separated even if they could escape. At that time, their speed would also be greatly reduced. The mysterious divine palace was silent. After approximately 10 minutes, Lin Dong suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. A smile, which indicated that he was relieved of a huge burden, appeared on his face. Everyone rejoiced upon seeing this. Then, they cast their attention towards the spatial ripples and saw that they had already left the raging tempest far behind them. They had finally charged out of the area covered by the tempests. How troublesome, little Martin sighed in relief and smilingly said, after he saw the relaxed atmosphere. Lin Dong nodded. He waved his sleeve before his mysterious divine palace vanished. After which, everyone once again appeared in the outside world. Their eyes surveyed their surroundings instinctively after they appeared. Soon after, their bodies stilled. Meanwhile, their eyes were filled with excitement as they looked in front of them. In the sky in front of them, there was a tens of thousands of feet large black crack slowly opening. It looked just like the mouth of a devil. Meanwhile, an indescribable frightening energy was being emitted from within. We have finally arrived. Lin Dong looked at the black spatial crack before he released a deep breath. Meanwhile, a dense searing heat began to surge out from within his black eyes. I have finally found you. This episode ends here.